The Common Legend is a podcast for everyone.
Hello and welcome to The Common Legend, where legends are more common than you may think. My name is Sean, and this week our guest is Eben Pieterse. Eben is from South Africa and hands down one of the most interesting and outgoing people I have ever met in my entire life. And that is saying something because I have met some pretty colorful characters. Eben talks about his childhood living in South Africa as a farmer, or Boer, and the struggles that came with it, including but not limited to not having electricity until he was 14 years old. Like, I can't even fathom that. We also touch on topics such as the ethics and effectiveness of corporal punishment, the racism and discrimination that Eben faced as a white African in Africa and America, and our shared belief that comfort is the killer of progression. This is definitely an episode you don't want to miss. It's a great interview, and Eben is just a character. So sit back, relax, lock in, and enjoy my interview with Eben Pieterse. Hello and welcome to The Common Legend, where legends are more common than you may think. This week, my guest is Eben Pieterse. Welcome, Eben. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you. So you have a thick accent.
Yeah, born, raised, and punished with it, along with the name.
You said born and raised and punished?
Yeah. I went to school like everybody did.
Okay.
Kids are cruel.
Oh, God. Kids are the
Ebenezer,
worst. Yeah.
he'll get made fun of so much.
Okay. So, Eben, where are you from?
South Africa, again, born, raised, and punished.
Born and raised and punished in South Africa?
Yep.
What part of South Africa?
Inland South Africa, Schweizereniga, very small town. Our high school graduation class, the entire high school had 450 students. And it was boarding school. We were farm kids, grew up with the farm tribal people working mostly around our farms. And yeah, I had to go to boarding school. There was no buses that ran out that far. It's 2.5 hours out of town. And one of the first things once you hit high school, you're out of the house. You go to boarding school.
Oh, yeah, you're gone.
Yep,
You're an adult now.
Yep, and that boarding school was borderline army, I would say. But I loved it because there was no chores in boarding school.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why were there no chores in boarding school?
Why? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would screw up to stay there on weekends because your punishment in boarding school is like you just can't go home this week.
You would try to go there.
Oh yeah, I had a stint that I spent 3 months at school and didn't go home.
Just because home was worse?
No, at home was work. We had a 19,000 acre farm.
And what did you guys farm?
We had between corn, beef cattle. We had lamb. We had a dairy on the farm. Yeah, pretty much a full, like they would say these days, self-sufficient farm. We harvested our own meat, own eggs, and all of that.
Okay.
And it was everything from scratch. My mom made cheese, butter.
Wow.
And
And you
all
said
our own
how many
cream.
acres was it?
19,000.
19,000.
Yeah, that was our cropland.
I'm sorry, 19,000?
19,000 acres. Yes.
What the fuck?
That
I
was
think
just
I
our
have like a
cropland.
1/8 of an acre.
Yeah, and we were in inland South Africa because the rainfall is so low. You have to have high acreage to get a high yield. Rainfall is, we don't have irrigation, so you pray for rain. It's a faith-based job.
Okay.
We had pray days that people will go for a whole week, meet in the stadium and pray so it can rain because the crops are dying.
Yeah.
There's no way to water, and our rows was planted like 5 to 6 feet apart, so you can walk through the middle of you can see to the other side of the road.
And how old were you when you were learning this culture of farming in South Africa?
Born and raised into it. Our family was in Africa. A lot of people ask me this because I'm a white South African. And one of the first things is, oh, you're from South Africa. You're not African, you're white. And my first response wants to be like, well, Africa has never been a color, number one.
I'm sorry, but it's so funny. Yeah.
And number two is we were there before there were white people in America.
Right, there were white
My
people.
family had the
Right.
farm before America was a country.
Yeah.
We haven't found you yet, and we were already a trade
So
route.
you're an African American.
And I checked the box every time. I write
You are
application
literally
for a
an
job.
African American.
Yep. And I
So how do you
100%
feel
am.
about that term?
I stand very proud on it, and I do still believe it's. I have gotten into mostly, if I say it in a public
Domain.
setting,
Yeah.
the only person that will come and note me on it will be a black American. The only person that'll do that. And he's like, you cannot call yourself African. You don't know the struggles we've been through.
That's so
But
ironic.
the greatest thing is, all I have to do is pull my driver's license from South Africa out of my pocket.
Show.
I was like, here. See,
So this
I
has
am.
happened to you before.
Yes,
we
a
got
lot
in
of
that
times.
conflict.
Mortimer's.
With you said Black American.
Yep.
And Mortimer's. Okay, in South Minneapolis. So you've gotten
Sunday
into
morning
conflicts where
brunch.
you're like, I'm an African American and a black person or a person of color. I don't care. I don't know what's fucking
Yep.
acceptable now. But they challenged you. And
Oh,
you had
yeah,
to pull
right
out your
there.
fucking
Yep,
idea.
yep, right there.
To be like, I'm literally an African American.
I do speak 4 of our native languages.
Okay.
And I ask him, I speak 4 native languages. How many do you do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're
He didn't even know where South Africa was. He's like, where in Africa? Where in southern part of Africa?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what do you think then? I mean, knowing what you know and where you're from about the term African American, do you think it's more correct to say Black African American?
No, I would say I did my American citizenship, and even being a white South African and the only white tribe, and you can Google in Wikipedia it, we're the only white tribe of Africa is the Boer people of South Africa.
Is it Boer?
The Boers, Boer. You can.
Yeah, Boer.
We're Boers. We were there. We fought the Zulus to claim our land. It was, and our history is vast, and really needs to be dug into to kind of understand where. And if they want to understand South African period, people have a lot to say about apartheid, but you can't understand it if you've not lived it, and you cannot understand it if you didn't do your research. You really need to. We had the Oregon Trail. People had ox wagons going up into Africa. That was our family.
So you had your own version of the Oregon Trail.
We have our own version of it, yes. And
So, are
we
you
fought
saying-
only one tribe, though. The
Are you
rest of the
saying that
tribes
you
were-
faced discrimination as a white African?
Oh, yeah. Here, yes.
Really?
Oh, here, yeah. Here more than
Wait,
most
well,
of them.
more here, but I mean, in Africa, is there discrimination against white Africans in Africa?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it took us. Well, one thing that one of the criteria you have to meet to be a Africa tribe is you have to have an African culture, you have to have your own language, you have to have your own schools.
Every
that teaches
tribe
in your language.
has to have their own language. Every tribe.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have 12 official
I didn't know that.
languages. South Africa have 12 official languages.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I can barely speak English.
Which I can speak only 4 of. So I'm one of the ones that didn't pay attention in school.
Okay. Yeah.
Those were just words that I had to learn to get along day by day. You know.
Right. Just to get by.
¿Cómo estás, baño? Is el baño?
So what? Name the
Things you have to
languages
do.
you could speak.
Zulu, Xhosa, Fanagalo, Setswana. Setswana is the tribe we work with the most. And then it's Dutch, a little bit of German. I'm losing my French. And now I'm working on my Spanish. That'll make it my number 8.
Okay. So when did you move to America? Because your accent's pretty thick. Like you could have moved here last week. Like,
Oh, you know what? And I went back home and they were like, "You sound so American."
Really?
Yeah, like
Oh
you're
god.
really like-
So you're getting it from both ends.
but I'm hearing it from South Africans, you know. So
Yeah.
What do they really know?
So when did you move here to America?
Well, it's been a heck of a journey. I finished school and I trained celebrate. I wanted to leave the country because small town, middle of Africa, opportunities is very little, and we called where we grew up. It was flat. I mean, there was no hills, no mountains, no nothing. It was farmland.
Yeah.
We said God ran out of ideas when he got to this part. It was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave
Fill
it.
in the blank.
Just hit the canvas here, you know.
Just
It's right here on the corner. Nobody's gonna see it.
Just dirt as far as you can see.
Plant shit. Go ahead.
Okay.
So I grew up we got electricity when I was 14 years old in the house. Grew up with a coal stove in the house.
you didn't grow up
we
with
made wood.
electricity.
No. TV was something that was in black and white. That was hard for me to talk to people here that's my age or even older than me. If I talk to somebody's great grandparents here, they grew up the way I grew up.
So you're like 2 generations behind.
Yeah, but at the age of now. for
Right.
instance.
Wow.
If I ever want to have something in common and remember that how we grew up, they open the coal stove door so that it heats the house. You know, there was this small little. And if I talk to people, I go to an old age home and have a great conversation. I have a hard time getting down the bat of most things these days, but I think we lock all our knowledge up in old age homes, which is a terrible thing that we're doing.
Oh, totally.
But if somebody wants to do yourself a favor, is go to your local old age home, go sit there. There's so many people yearning for somebody to talk to. And they will tell you stories that you have in your life cannot even imagine.
I'm going to reinforce this ideology because I was a chef at a retirement home here, and the stories you hear, the experiences that you get,
You can write a book. You can write a book.
Oh my God, right.
Yeah.
And like I think everyone should talk to their elders. Like that's something in America that like there's this divide in every heritage, you know, it doesn't matter. Anyone who's been established, like it's so important to communicate and learn the stories of your elders in that respect. They say respect your elders.
Yep.
The hint of truth there is that they've been through stuff you could not even imagine.
Yeah, and life, your mindset at the end of life should, I don't say it always does, should come from experience, not from hearsay. If you want to speak of something, experience it first. And those people, they do speak out of experience.
That's all they have.
That's and
Why would they lie? They have no reason to.
They've pretty much been abandoned, left there. The kids don't come to visit. Heck, I haven't seen my daughter in 5 years.
And honestly, it's good. It like when I was a chef and I like sometimes I'd bring out the food and like they're like, oh, young boy with the tattoos, and like we had our differences, but then we'd start to bond and we'd start to know each other. I've met scientists from like Project Orange, like like
what
dude,
are you doing here?
You know what you like? It's exactly like it's. I totally agree. Like everyone should volunteer at an old folks home, get to know, like the older generations. But so you've been here. What? No, I have to ask again. When did you move to America?
That was the one. Yeah. That's where we were. Then we segued.
Yeah.
But I came to train horses since I was from a small farm town in Africa. I needed to get out. And I was a very, very busy child. I was the one that couldn't sit still in church. I was over the roof. Now they diagnose it ADD.
ADHD.
Then ADHD.
Whatever.
And my dad thought it was just a belt away from fixing this.
Oh.
And it kind of came to a point that gave me a lot of respect. I have to say, in the spanking's defense, I deserved every one I got. Hands down.
So you think spanking was beneficial for you?
It was beneficial for me. I would have been a real asshole today if he didn't.
Would you hit your kid then, knowing that?
Knowing that?
Yeah, I know.
That's a really hard question to ask, dude. Yeah. I don't know. I think we're going to
Would you pass it on? Would you continue?
It depends on how. It depends on how. My dad, I was deathly afraid of, even though he would just have to say, go wait for me in the bathroom. The wait alone was more of a punishment than the spanking.
Right. The anticipation, the build
and
up.
then some nights he just opens the door and is like, go to bed. I'm like, oh, what the hell was that for?
So you're always on like the
sitting
edge
here
of
and
your
anxiety
seat.
and into the toilet, like, what the heck? When is the belt walking? And no. It's just like, you gotta go. That was your.
So what you're talking about is fear is a form of control.
Then it was to a point, but I also know, like, man, you really screwed up. Yeah. I burned the shed down with the entire year's worth of hay for 19,000 acres of beef cattle. Oh.
That's something I might whip out the belt for.
Yeah, there was one.
All right, so answer the question, Eben. Would you fucking bust out the belt if you had a child?
Yes, I will. If it comes to the point, like, how bad did you screw up? I would rather spank my kid, it hurting me. Nobody wants to, than have the government do it for him behind bars later.
Would you do it because it worked for you, or why?
Not only because it worked for me. I see it that I think it's a guy explained it beautifully to me the other day, and I'm struggling for the words because, again, English is my fourth language.
Yeah. And you speak pretty good English.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's my mom would give me a backhand through the face when I pissed her off, which was worse than the spanking. My dad actually did it with some dignity. You actually walk out there and you're like, God damn, my ass hurt. They could still spank us in schools growing up. My entire high school career, if you screw up in school, you could ass whip it.
They bust out the ruler,
No. There was no rulers. There was a freaking bamboo stick wrapped in tape. Oh, yeah. Damn. Or we call it the plank. It's a piece of oak it looks like a spatula with a narrower tip because they found that too much spatula is too much drag. It doesn't pound as much.
I'm sorry to laugh, but so they thought about it like for efficiency.
They're yeah, and you can legally only get 6 a day. So no matter how much you screw up, you can only get hit 6 shots in a day.
That's a law?
That was, yeah. You could only
get was 6. A law?
Yeah, 6 strokes. I get it over with in the morning, first class.
Yeah, right. Get out of the way. Yeah, move on.
Now I can screw
That's
up the
what
rest
I
of the
do.
day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do.
And now you laugh at them, and that pisses them off.
Oh God! And then it
Tomorrow,
can't hit you though.
oh.
Yeah, but tomorrow those next 6.
Ooh.
So it was literally legally for a period of time a law where they could only hit children 6 times.
Yeah. Well, before the 6, that was later in my high school. They could get you 6 per half hour per class.
Per half hour. Oh my
Per
God.
class.
Holy shit!
Every half hour we had to change classes. And in every class, they could do
keep
6.
doing it.
They
What?
could do 6, and there was a time that my ass was leather. I would stand there, and when you piss them really off after the spanking of the
you
6,
like pissing them off though, right?
you turn around and you say, "Thank you, sir. You don't rub. You don't look like you're in
Because
pain.
it makes them burn.
Dude, outside there, you can rub like your ass is on fire."
It's
Not
like
kidding.
what's the quote from the movie? Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
yeah,
You know?
legally, you give me another.
You can't.
Oh,
Or you can't. Yeah.
then I'm not gonna call. Then I'm gonna call my mom, not my dad, because my mom was the one that did. My dad punished us when we screwed up. My mom punished the people that screwed with us. That was kind of how it worked.
And that's a good thing.
The
That's a good
teachers
thing.
could not. A teacher could not.
All right. Last time I'm gonna ask you this fucking question. When did you move to fucking America?
Right
Even?
after high school.
How old are you?
I was 19 years old, just
Okay.
finished high school, and the commando, which was the army by us.
Commando.
Yeah, it was like I would almost call it your National Guard.
Okay.
You still got to go through training and all of that.
Did you have to? Was it like a country
We were still
requirement?
we were still under apartheid, so we had 3 years of military for boys. 0 for a woman was exempt, but my dad grew up through the army.
Okay.
Every single man in South Africa went to the
Goes to,
army.
yeah.
Till
But it wasn't required?
it's a requirement.
So
You
I know
will
in
go.
China
It's a
you
draft.
have to. It's
It was
a draft.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a draft.
Okay.
And if you don't, you're gonna spend that time in jail.
And what is apartheid again? Just to remind me.
People living apart. Apartheid was when I can say South Africa was their version of segregated.
So it's segregation
Yeah.
on like a government level.
And it was everywhere, from social to government. I could not understand why the black kids my farm kids couldn't go to school with me when I was growing up. My dad just said it doesn't work that way.
There was segregation in Africa.
Yeah.
So there was literally black and white drinking fountains.
Yeah, but also not just, and this is what people do not always understand about apartheid is when the Dutch came there, they also, while in Rome, do like the Romans. And it was the tribes didn't mix. If you are a Zulu and you go sleep with a Xhosa woman, you will both be shunned from your tribe and you will never be able to return. You'll be chucked into the wild, which then was still wild.
Wow. It was actually the wild.
Yeah, you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
One man, one woman in
'Cause
Africa
then
back then would not
You're going to
survive.
get hunted by something.
Something is going to come get you. And you have no protection from no tribe. You're done.
Wow.
And when the Dutch came there, they kept to themselves as well. Because what's going to happen to them if they decide to go with a Xhosa woman or something? And it was the same thing. And that went up and up and up through the years and ended up, it was not just black and white. Xhosas couldn't go to a Zulu's bathroom. If the Zulus claim that bathroom, the Xhosas don't go there.
So the discrimination was deeper than just skin color.
Oh yeah, the discrimination was there, and I can say this hands down: tribal warfare was a thing there before we got there.
Okay.
They if you speak the tribal languages, you will not. None of them are really similar. It's all very different.
And you said there's 12 official languages,
official languages,
in Africa?
Yep.
That's wild because we only have one here in America. and we stole it and we don't really do a
Hey,
good job
just hold
of
on.
using it.
Pretty soon we're gonna knock Spanish out too.
All right,
Everybody
all
in the
right.
country should speak Spanish. It's great.
So you keep bringing up Dutch. All right, so you're Dutch.
Dutch descent, like anybody that's here will be that's white in this country will be from European descent. Yep. Wait, Dutch, German, Irish, and
Yeah, like
yep,
Polish, Ukrainian, whatever.
yep. And everybody pulls, and that was the thing. Holds on to that still, and we have lived in Africa long enough to, like I say, become a culture, become a tribe, and be Boers, and proud to be Boers.
And what's Boers?
Boer in my language, Boer means farmer.
Farmers.
Farmer. We work
So you're
the
proud
land.
to be a farmer.
Oh, and I will
so
always
you're
be.
a
I get
redneck.
goosebumps
You're
when
an
you say
African
that.
redneck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We will fix everything, but we don't use duct tape. We at least step it up the wire.
Okay.
We use steel.
So you came here at 19 after your
Yep.
service.
And I did service while in high school.
Okay.
I did high
You
school
did both?
and that, yes.
Wow.
Because they would pick us up at night, and we had to then try to keep the peace in some of our underprivileged neighborhoods to make sure the tribes do not go completely at battle. That was, and at 19, I left because I needed to get out. Came to the States and worked at Mike Roberts Stables. It was in Illinois. The man has now passed away.
Mike Robert Staples?
Yeah.
What was that, manufacturing?
No, it's a horse ranch.
Oh, okay.
Saddlebred horses. And I mean, we were South African. We pretty much rode horses growing up,
And
too,
you got the farm life, so you
Yeah,
know.
and it was great. I spent a year there and learned so much about, America. We saw it in movies, snow.
It's
all those
completely
beautiful
different.
things. I mean, we all watch
Right.
the movies.
They're all eating whatever they want. They're happy.
It was the country of milk and honey.
the
it was
American
in the movies,
dream,
man. Yeah.
which is why still people come here, even though it's not
Yep.
that great because eggs are so expensive.
well, people ask me now how you doing. I said overworked, underpaid, living the American dream.
exactly. Oh, so you've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 20 plus years to learn that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's the land of milk, but there's no more honey.
Okay, so your perception of the American dream has shifted.
Oh yes, it did.
What is the American dream currently to you? What do you think it is?
To make it day by day.
Yeah.
It's not even a dream. You just have to. If you can dream here, unless dreams cannot always stay dreams. Dreams is to be something that you need to go and be able to achieve. And I can dream, go to sleep and dream of a place that I've never even been and something in my head that my head conjured up. But dreams needs to be achievable. Then they can actually be dreams that comes to where you can enjoy them. It's not just an epiphany. It should be something you can achieve. And if you have, and this has become a big thing, is most of those dreams to achieve them is our drawback is financial.
In America specifically,
It is.
yes.
It is.
It's
And
'cause
a lot of us
capitalists-
has also put ourselves in that position because if I didn't have a house, if I didn't have a car, if I didn't have
Right.
this, I would have been more free to go do these things. But it takes money to go do them. It's a catch-22.
100%.
We want to go experience and go chase those dreams, but we're also in such a comfort zone.
Where we have to keep doing what we don't want to do to stay comfortable.
And comfort is the word of the death to progress.
Comfort is the killer of
progress,
progression.
yes.
Yes,
The-
I love that
The
quote.
best things in the world has happened when people were uncomfortable and
Yes.
try to better themselves.
Yes.
Uncomfortable made great.
I 100% agree. Like when you struggle, when you have to work, when you're uncomfortable and things don't feel good, that's when change happens.
That's when you make change happen.
Yeah, you have to because you have no. Yeah,
Yep, you have no choice.
Change
You have
is
no
the only common in life.
Yep.
The only thing every single person in America, Africa, it doesn't matter, Asia, the only thing we all have in common is life's going to change.
Yeah.
But so you came to America and realized that
Yeah. Well, it was a very blissful time. It was in Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. It was a
that's where you
beautiful
touched
town.
down.
Yeah,
So
that was how I
19.
touched
Why?
down.
So why'd you come here? Do you have family? Was there a job?
There was nothing. There was a way out of South Africa, and there was a job on a horse farm, and they dropped me in Chicago, and we drove all the way to Columbia, Missouri from there.
Okay.
The guy that runs that horse ranch.
From Chicago to Columbia.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went there, and I, for the first time, saw snow. Thought it was the most beautiful thing ever until I
Oh,
drove the
ha
car.
ha ha! Yeah, until you have to drive.
Until I was the one driving.
Yeah.
So I
So,
was like, "What is that shit?"
so you said, were you running from South Africa? Is it not the
It
best
wouldn't
place
be-
to live?
It was the most beautiful place to live, but there is some time that even if you live in a beautiful place, you do not appreciate it after a while.
Totally.
I know people that live next to the ocean, drive by it every day, don't even
And they're
look
like,
at it.
my life sucks.
And then people pay $900 to
to
sleep
go
in
to
an
see the
apartment
ocean,
to stare
to
at the
take a
ocean.
deep breath. Yeah.
And this guy drives past it every morning to work, and he wouldn't turn his head left. He looks at the stores on the right, but doesn't even look at the water anymore.
This is really touching on like just staying in the present moment, gratitude, mindfulness.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a goal in life should be live in the present moment.
That's
should exactly be what it is. If be mindful of the future, remember the past, but live in the moment.
Yes, because the future is a construct. The
Oh,
future
yes.
doesn't exist.
You know, and you're still creating
We
your
only think
future.
about it. Exactly. And that's where anxiety, depression come from,
Yeah.
is not living
Yep.
here and now.
And also, we are out of control in most places of that.
Yeah.
I really have to say, if anybody wants to, you have to go to a place to change perception that they don't speak the language, that's food you've never eaten, in a really small little place. You'll find gratitude again in those places, and humble. You'll be humbled, and you'll also see the great in others, in other tribes, and other people, in other countries.
So you're saying, like, take yourself out of the comfort zone
Yes.
and see how other people are living their life, how you are, but it's so different.
It's funny for me. Not funny. It is. It is good to go see how other people's comfort zone look like.
Yeah, yeah.
We had this thing, and it was even in Africa. When I came here, when I went to Missouri, when I was training horses there, one of the first ads that struck me was there was an African tribal kid sitting, and vultures was coming walking at him, and he was underfed, and he was like, send money to the poor African dying babies, and
Right.
I'm like, but I know that the photographer wanted to be non-partial and capture this moment, which was great. But hell, can you give him a pair of shoes, man? He's on camera. You know.
So
But
you're
it was
talking about, like,
such
the
a striking,
exploitation of
yeah,
suffering?
it was such a striking thing, and people donated so much money to that cause,
Because
and
of
so
that
much it went for
picture.
overhead because of that picture.
Yeah.
That what actually made it there, that kid that sat there,
He's still hungry.
he probably didn't get his pair of shoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
The administration costs and everything to
You're
run
talking
do the
about, like,
research.
the exploitation of
yes.
suffering.
Oh yes,
Where,
exploitation
like,
of suffering is a big one.
it's huge.
It was huge with Africa for a while. It was.
Oh
every
my
ad on
God! Like,
TV.
you've seen, like, do you remember the girl who had the veil over her face on Time magazine?
Nat Geo.
Nat
And they had to
Geo
find her
and,
again, and they found her.
Oh, they did.
As an older woman, they found her.
Oh, wow, I need
The
to
eyes.
see that. Yeah, the eyes, but the
there's
veil.
a documentary on it.
Okay,
Yep.
so you're talking about, like, the
It's a Nat Geo, yep.
exploitation of, like, where you can document someone's suffering and their pain, and then
Yep.
that gets you attention, but it doesn't necessarily equate to help for them.
And even the thing is, after you get your attention, then some might trickle down that way, you know. And a lot of organizations and people are there for the attention. They're not.
Yeah.
It is a moneymaker. It is a moneymaker. It's like war. War is profitable. Peace is not profitable.
It is not capitalistic to
Yeah.
not be at war.
Yeah. It is.
It's in our best interest to have conflict in America. For sure.
That it is.
So you were chasing the American dream. You came here and you got your farming job. And okay, so what happened to the next, like, 20, 30 years? Like,
Okay,
20 years to catch you up.
After the farming job, I actually had my dad and my uncle come to visit me because they've never been to the States either while I was doing the farming job, to come and see what we do and how we do it and whatnot. And my dad was a pretty big horse person back in the day as well, and came and just to see how I'm doing too. And obviously I found America and a whole bunch of I would say first world recreational
Are we talking
good
about
times.
substances?
Yes, that was one.
Okay, even have you
was
ever
fun.
struggled with substance abuse?
I think everybody struggles with substance abuse one way or another.
Amen.
That substance could be food. That substance can be a lot of
Working
things. It
out.
can be coffee.
I have
it
the
can
same
be,
philosophy.
Yeah, it is.
We're all addicts.
It's. I think moderation is the key.
Well,
It
everything
took many
in
years
moderation.
to figure it out. But
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Moderation. Yes.
Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
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 So yeah, you had a good time. So,
I had a
So
wonderful
when you
time.
came to America, was that the first time you were exposed to, like, the chemical scene?
Oh well, the biggest one in South Africa was. I mean, we grew up rural Africa, and Africa was pot. It was ditch. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was. It gives you. All I remember is you're really hungry for a minute and then you take a nap.
Okay. So old school hippie weed.
Yeah. It was not. It was not the greatest. You could roll. You still had to roll the seeds out of it.
Yeah.
In a molded
But when you
bag.
came to America, like, were you
Oh.
opened up to a whole new world?
Yeah,
or-
well, my inauguration was we went to a club in Columbia, Missouri, and it was called Club Vogue. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was a strip club. It was and that was the only place that I found played rugby on TV on Sundays.
Is that
And
why
rugby
you
was
went
a South
there, or
African
were you
sport.
looking for the
No,
tits?
no. We were, first of all, I was there for an inauguration, and I was there to look at the tits.
Okay,
I was
a little
driving there.
both, yeah.
I was driving there, and they gave me a joint, and I took 2 hits of that joint in
you're
the
like,
truck
what
there.
the fuck is this?
And lights were trailing, man.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, this is not weed. What is this?
Yeah,
What did you give me, man?
Dude, once you go from like shitty hippie old ditchweed seeds and stems to like what the kids are smoking now, it's a drug. It's different than
It was 0 to 100 in no time. I remember sitting there in a strip club, and I just had my mouth hanging open and just stared. It was also the first time I stepped in a strip club. I'm from rural Africa. I'm 19.
Oh,
Right.
right.
I saw a naked woman on paper. If you stole the magazine
if
from
you're lucky.
Dad's
Yeah,
underneath
right,
Dad's mattress.
yeah. Holy shit! So that's a whole ass experience.
It was a fun one. And after that, I was like, all right, well, we live in Missouri. It's nice climate. I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
Got a few of the seeds that I did get. I stuck it in the soil next to the lake, and grew and got a couple of buds. Never was the best.
Right.
But a year after my stay, when my parents or my dad and my uncle came to visit me, my dad noticed that I am now a very bona fide pot smoker. And it's now a part of my daily regimen of medication. And obviously, conservative South African Dutch Reformed churchman,
Okay, say that again.
African conservative Dutch Reformed churchman.
Goddamn. I need that on a shirt. Okay.
I thought Dutch Reformed meant, yeah, we have some leeway, man. We had hookers and weed in Holland long before the rest of the world. I
Of
thought
course,
it gave you
right.
some leeway.
In the red light
No.
district in
They were
Amsterdam,
as
yeah.
tight as the Catholics were. And my dad came and he saw that. He's like, you're not staying here. You're getting on the plane, coming home with us. I'm like, all right. Broke up with a girlfriend that I had here then.
Okay.
She was one of the customers at the horse ranch.
Okay.
And broke up with her, climbed on the plane 2 days later, and off I went. Stop in England, and we go into downtown Piccadilly Circus, going to take the train from the airport because we have a 12-hour layover.
Yeah.
And with my dad and my uncle, we go into England, go to sit in the pub right just outside of Piccadilly Circus. You kind of walk through a record store when you walk out of the light rail there, and you walk into.
It's like a gift shop.
Yeah,
Exit
yeah.
through the
Yes,
gift
yes,
shop.
yes.
Yeah.
And then it is the heart of London. Walked into
Yeah.
the heart of London, looked around, and I told my dad and my uncle, you guys go sit there, have a few beers, and their plane tickets are booked,
Yeah.
We're all going to South Africa,
Yeah.
their plane tickets are booked. And I decided not to, I disappeared in London.
Oh, yeah?
I decided not to go back to the airport.
Where'd you go?
Stayed in London for
Did you mind the gap?
No, stayed in London for 9 months. Hustled,
Okay.
hustled, and kind of lived a hostel life.
Yeah,
Started my
okay.
backpacking life pretty much.
Okay.
For as short as it was.
Yeah.
But I spent 9 months in England, which was, that's a book of stories there.
Yeah.
I was a skinhead in a punk rock rave.
Oh
fight.
my God! Really?
I had 2 teeth knocked out. That was the London scene at the time. The punk rock scene was huge. The Clash was everywhere, and it was Ministry of Sound was underground. It was not a mainstream freaking MTV channel yet.
Ministry of Sound.
Yeah,
What's that?
Ministry of Sound, EDM. It was back when rave just hit it, and MDMA,
Okay, so like-
ecstasy just hit the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the
like
that was the height of time.
techno.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heavy techno, leaning towards house almost at the time.
Okay.
And Ministry of Sound was the only place that it's a 24-hour because it was an illegal pop-up underground event.
Right.
And I didn't do acid because while I was in Missouri, did a very bad thing and dropped 4 drops on my first time ever doing it.
Liquid? Straight to the tongue?
Leaves.
Oh, paper. Oh, 4 tabs.
4 tabs.
Yeah.
And nobody told me it takes half an hour to kick in.
It's like
I
edibles.
walked out after the 4, and I told the guy who sold it to me, which is still there talking to my roommate, like, man, this shit don't work. I guess I'm immune.
Boom, and
He
then
looks,
it hits
he looks
ya.
at my roommate, he's like, you better fucking hold on to him tonight.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, it was a hell of an
So
experience.
you were there at the beginning of because England and London is where the OG punk rock
Yes.
came from.
Yeah. And most of my friends were punk guys, but I already had a shaved head because since I played rugby in high school, we shaved our heads. Nobody can
Okay.
grab you by the hair when you're playing rugby.
Okay.
And I've had a shaved head since, and it's also so low maintenance. But
Oh my God, it's the best.
It is
you
the
just
best.
shave your head.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait. When you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, you just walk out. You go
Rag.
do your life. Yeah,
Don't
you don't
go
have
down.
to. My hair. You don't have to worry about it.
nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
and I will never step away from it. But most of my friends was punk rockers, and they would cone Their mohawk still.
Oh, yeah.
And now the asshole move in London at the time was people will walk by you and smack your mohawk down. All the gel and time that you took to make it.
Oh.
So what they started doing is they'll take syringe needles and gel them into the tip of their mohawks with a gel
To get
so it
'em?
gets
To
hard.
poke 'em?
If somebody hits your cone down, the needle is going through his hand. Just
What?
to stop them from
No,
doing
what?
They
I've
gelled
never
it
heard of
into their
this.
hair. Soti,
What?
one of my, he has passed away now, God bless his soul, Jacques Leroux. He was there with me. That's where I met him. We called him Soti because Soti is like redneck in our language.
Oh, Soti.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're a Soti, you're a saltneck. You came from England. You're fresh off the boat, kind of. You're the British that we fought. You know?
Okay.
Yeah,
Soti.
yeah,
Okay.
and they speak English as their native. They're not Boers. They're white South Africans, but
Yeah.
they came late in from England.
So they're the white trash Boers. They're the
We're the originals. They are
Right,
they're the
okay.
latecomers.
Oh my God! There's so many levels of discrimination. Why is
Yeah.
everyone
they,
fighting?
They were the latecomers.
Okay.
I mean, well, now we're the Rainbow Nation and everybody lives in peace, apparently. But,
Well, allegedly.
I was just there and it was not quite the fact.
So you came to America and you found drugs. Have you ever struggled with addiction? How we use addiction? Have you ever been addicted to something that you can't stop using?
No. Everything I've ever tried in my life and ever done, and sometimes for a year, 2 year stint, I've always got to quit cold turkey. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. I mean, you have a very uncomfortable week or maybe a very uncomfortable few nights.
Totally.
But if I grew up with believing that if you do an action, you have to be responsible for the repercussions of that action.
Totally.
And if I want to do something, I need to be ready for the repercussions of doing it and quitting. That's the hard part of everything.
I'm
the
the same
hardest
way.
part is letting shit go.
Yes.
And especially
yes.
something that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But there comes a time that's laying there and you look at it and you're like, man, it's like a chore now.
Right. When it becomes a chore.
Yeah.
a
And now I
job.
have to. I'm like,
Like,
nah,
no.
now I don't want to
Once
anymore.
once you see the control it has over
Yes.
you, you're like,
Yeah,
nah, I don't like
no.
that.
That's not appealing
Yeah.
anymore.
So do you have anyone in your life who has struggled with addiction?
Yes, a lot.
Yes? Yeah.
A lot. I have plenty.
So you don't understand how that work, or do you understand like addiction and how it takes over people?
I do think that addiction is mostly just a fix because there's a deeper root problem. If we can find the root problem that brought the addiction on, because we only do drugs to make us feel better and happier. If we can bring that happiness and that better feeling into our lives, just living a life, then you will need it. But we are overworked. The entire country is, and the rat race has come to the point. Anxiety for everybody in the country is to the roof.
It's blowing up.
Depression is to the roof
blowing
because
up.
we're missing the meaning of life.
And what is the meaning of life to you then?
Live life. I've asked people the question: what would, if you grew up in a medieval town, that there was no, what would your career be? Would you be a teacher? Would you be a blacksmith? Would you be a hunter-gatherer? 99% cannot answer me that question.
I would be a barista.
I would be a teacher. I was
Really?
10 years a preschool
You'd
teacher.
be a good teacher.
I
would
was
love to have
here.
you as a teacher.
I love teaching.
What
It's
you're
a great job.
touching on right now is, have you ever heard about the Japanese philosophy of ikigai? It's called flow state. So it's something you do where time doesn't matter. So you could do it forever. You don't feel drained, and you enjoy it. It's work. It's still work, but like it's satisfying. It's gratifying.
Oh, and it's funny you bring that up. There was a conference last week that Elon Musk's, he's the South African, the richest man in the world, and I kind of, because he's a South African, pay attention to kind of what's happening there. He's accomplished what a lot of people hasn't. I never thought in my life I would live to see a South African Boer person
he was
to be
a
the
Boer?
richest man. Yeah, to be the
I
richest
didn't know
man
he was
in
a
the world.
Boer.
He's a part of the.
He
oldest
came
tribe
from
of
farm
Africa.
family.
He's farm family Africa. Yes.
Oh,
And,
so that must be super motivational for you.
As South Africa as a country, we've had a very great couple of years.
Yeah.
And I will get into that in depth a little later. But
Okay.
we had a really couple of good years in sports and in a whole lot. I just came back and we got the middleweight championship UFC.
Okay.
The ad brought tears to my eyes when this guy came on because the ad starts with like, the world don't know what we know.
Is that because it like inspires you and shows you
Oh,
what like
yes.
is possible? So
Brings
it's the
a
same
tear
thing
on
as the
my eye.
American dream.
It is.
That same concept of what
For
you
me
could
right
do.
now, I was just home. I can buy back into the South African dream in a heartbeat. And it's not a dream. In South Africa, it is like it's a pride thing. Everywhere I go, like I say, Ebenezer is not an easy forgetting name. Everybody read Charles Dickens. What a dick, by the way. He wrote one book, and I fight the rest of my life to get
Charles
my name
Dickens.
back. Yeah. During Christmas, I like to go to Mexico, where there's not too much Charles Dickens. Somewhere where they haven't read it yet. But yeah, it was. It's having those names and grow up in Africa. We are. Well, if I screwed up anywhere in the world, they don't remember. Oh, Ebenezer screwed up. It's like, you remember that South African that was over here and fucked up?
So it's like dehumanizing.
Yes, and the same thing happens with Americans. Most people in South Africa will tell you Americans are personified assholes, but they have not made the average day American. Well, if you can afford to travel to Africa and spend a week in Africa and have enough money and sit to talk to the locals,
gonna make friends.
You're not a poor American. You are probably one of the rich pompous assholes that think everything comes to you for free.
Yeah.
And that you own what you put money to. That's the people that they meet. That's the image you put out to the world. That's the image that South Africans see from American tourists. It's very rare. American tourists don't go and stay on a South African farm somewhere.
No, they go to resorts.
They go to the resort and they demand what they paid for.
And they come with money.
Well, they demand what they paid for, which is a very big culture here, and that's expected.
Expectations.
But that expectations is like, man, do whatever you want. Rule number one, don't be an asshole.
So you're talking about like living in a country where people like are tourists, they're vacationing.
Yeah.
They consider it a destination.
Yes.
Not an actual place where people live their life.
Yes. And that's something that I realized when I was there already. And everywhere that I traveled since then, if you want to learn anything about the country or the people, you got to get behind the rhythm of their life.
Yeah.
You got to feel that, oh man, I got to get a job here.
Right.
I got to drive to work.
What do
here.
they eat in the morning?
That's
what do
the
they have
thing.
to do for work?
You cannot do that while you're on a 1 week vacation.
No.
You might get a hint of it. You go to restaurants, you do this. You have to submerge yourself into local culture. That's also how you learn a language like this.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But the only way I've experienced that is vacationing versus taking a couple trips which were more missionary focused. But then I'm more like, I dive into lifestyle. So I built houses in Guatemala, and then I had families in the morning waking me up and cooking me what they eat,
The local food, yes.
and right. So
Delicious too.
oh my God, yeah. But I didn't bridge that gap of what you're talking about until I did missionary work.
Yeah.
So where do you? On that topic, how do you align spiritually your faith? Are you Christian? Do you have a religion you follow?
Well, I grew up Dutch Reformed, and yes, Christian, definitely. Like I said, grew up. That's the one holy book I know that I know pretty much cover to cover and can quote in 4 languages, including Dutch. It's like I know the Bible, and it came to the point of mundaneness to me. So I studied more so other religions, and it. I have a knowledge of all, but would say grew up Christian and still, would follow Christian beliefs. And I would not, in me as a person, I cannot completely say that it was a journey for me. It is still a journey for me to find. I wouldn't say find my faith. I have my faith, but just to fine tune and try to get rid of all the. It's hard to say when you talk about faith, but the bullshit that's out there.
Totally.
It takes research. It takes a lot of research,
right?
And it takes you need to go look around and not just look around. We spoke of that a couple of times off camera before, and it is. I think if everybody believes that there is only one God and one entity, then I don't care what you call him. I don't really worry what book you read. It is in the end of the day, if you have the devotion to close your eyes in the end of the day and stand somewhere or do something in devotion to a higher entity, if there's only one which we all agree with, that is the one you're going to. Whatever you call him, whatever he is there, and if instead of looking at all the differences in all the Holy Scriptures, let's just see how much we have in common, which we will very quickly find is the commandments. There is some rules in life. Don't kill, do not steal. Do upon others what you want to do on yourselves. That is in all of them.
And the 7 deadly sins are like practical for everyone.
Yeah, it's for everyone. It is,
Gluttony,
and it is a reason they are there.
patience,
Yes,
yeah.
they are there. Yeah, they are. They are all there, and I think it will. Me, African from nowhere, just I think that if the world just starts to see the similarities in religion and not butt their heads against the differences in religion, and mostly it's the name.
It's all
It's a
labels.
name.
Just saying God can cause conflict.
Oh yes, oh
You
yes.
know?
Saying Merry Christmas causes conflict.
I have the same philosophy as you. Like, I think we're all believing the same thing. There, you know, whatever this bigger energy is.
If you believe in only one, you got it.
You could call it the universe. You could
Yeah.
call it God, Buddha, Allah, Ra. It doesn't matter
Yep.
what you use, but we all know there's something else
Yes.
going on.
Yep. Yep. There is something higher than me out there.
Yeah.
I am not the creator of all of this.
So-
It's not possible.
The most important thing that you mentioned is faith. And I think that's what's most important. It doesn't matter what you have faith in, but you have to have faith in something.
Faith is
and
the
if you
one,
don't
yeah.
have faith, some of the most horrible people I've met in life are faithless. And until, for me personally, I found faith, I was degenerate. I didn't care. And until I established faith in something, and it's not the Christian God, it's not Buddha, but once
It's
you
a
get
personal
faith,
relationship too.
it's like, no, it was spiritual at first, but like knowing that everything's going to be okay, you have trust and just like surrendering.
Trust. With that comes trust. With faith comes trust.
Trust, faith, surrender.
I had a hard time trusting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
faith taught me to trust.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for faith, I would never have trusted. And I trust too easily now, I think. But it was a long journey to get to that point.
Yeah.
But also through experience, they say first impressions last.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very, very good one. If you have enough experience in life, and I mean, you see a snake when he has scales, and he's sailing on the ground, you know what it is.
But you still want to feed the snake, and if the snake bites you, that's the snake's decision, not yours.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
So your choice is to still help and trust.
Yes.
And if someone else
It will
does you wrong,
99% of the time, it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
But the one time it's rewarding,
It's so worth it.
It will be.
It's
It will be
so-
in multiple ways rewarding.
so worth it.
I compare it to teaching. I mean, teaching doesn't pay crap in this country. I was a preschool teacher 10 years, ages 3 to 6, and was a wonderful time in my life. It was phenomenal, and I would never change it for anything. Back at home, people will never have. I would never be able to become a preschool teacher there because people knew me. I came to the States and got rid of the stigma that was behind my name, applied for a job as a joke to teach preschool.
Just
And
because you're like, maybe.
I'm sitting
Ha-ha.
with my first wife. I had two, but with my first wife, we're sitting in our bedroom on the bed, and I'm looking at job applications. And there's a Montessori preschool, and right here off of Lake Harriet.
Oh, which one? I went to Montessori in
Lake
that area.
Harriet Montessori.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah,
I didn't go
it's
to that.
on Lake Harriet. And,
Okay.
I mean, I took the kids fishing every other day, and I applied for the job. And I checked the African American box, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? African American. Check. Wrote down what's your qualifications. Well, I got a high school diploma. I can drive an ox wagon with 24 oxen.
It's not very relative.
No. But that was I applied as a
You're
joke.
like, this is okay.
I
okay,
applied.
yeah.
Me and we sat there and we applied, and she was laughing the whole time I was writing this down. Sure as shit, the next day my phone rings and it's the director of the school saying, "Can you come in for an interview?"
And you did that for 10 years?
I'm like, "No, yeah, for 10 years." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'll come for the interview." Now I'm like, holy shit.
So it was when you made a joke of it, but you just decided you took all the fear, anxiety out of it. You were brutally honest, and you answered all the questions.
And I did it to the qualifications that I did have.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a greenhouse operations from the U, but I mean that's not very to the job, but it actually in the end of the day did. But applied, and the principal, the director of the school, we were a non-profit, called me. It was it's still probably one of the best schools that I would say I've ever stepped foot in.
Really?
And the director of the school got me in the office, and I'm sitting down, and she's also a very arts person, you know, very open, and
Very creative
yes, very
and
creative.
emotional.
And she's like, you know why I called you back for this interview? It's like I needed to see the person that writes. I can drive an ox wagon with 24 oxen and swing a 24-foot whip and clap it on whichever auction I want to on his resume.
So like you piqued their interest.
I got the job.
You got
That
the
day
job.
I got the job. That day I got the job. She's like, when have you worked with kids? Like, I haven't. I think they break. They didn't. They don't break. And it was one of the best times of my life. The
Really?
innocence. That 10 years taught me innocence. But you will never be rich.
Who cares? Yeah, it's the most humble
Your
job.
rewards come in a completely different way than financial. I
Yeah.
think that teachers should be paid more than doctors and lawyers. And hell, the mechanic that worked on your Mercedes. Because you drop your Mercedes off in the garage that you drop your kids off in. You have no problem paying the mechanic that worked on your Mercedes $5,000 to fix the gearbox, but you will not pay the teacher that molds your child's mind a livable wage.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I left teaching.
I completely agree.
I could not find. I wanted to go. I want to go further in life, and I don't have a support group. I'm support. People call me for shit. I don't call other people for shit.
Yeah.
That was I am me here. As you know, I have 2 people living in my house, and 3 now. We got let in, and all of them we're without families here. We need a support group, and we are our support group. They're family to me. They're brothers. We had a great shindig last night, and everybody was there, and we had a phenomenal time. But all the brothers are there, and we're brothers. But one is from Vietnam, one is from Puerto Rico. I'm from Africa, and Charlie, he's from
Love
Como
Charlie.
Avenue. Yeah,
Yeah, I love Charlie.
He's seen 2 places in his life. It was Minnesota and Wisconsin. And last year we took him to a music festival in Iowa.
Oh, yeah?
He's like,
He loved it?
I can drive through Iowa, and I could have missed that. There was nothing to see there.
Uh-huh.
It was like corn, windmill,
No,
corn.
I
corn,
agree with
windmill,
you though,
corn,
and like
corn.
nursing is another profession where it's
Yes,
underpaid,
yes,
but so you get something else out of it. It's not the pay; it's more of this like that emotional, that
I think that's work
spiritual
itself.
self gratification, where like
Because like I said, Elon Musk said that he had a problem with that AI might take over everything because people that doesn't work is going to feel unworthy. Because a lot of people out of work find social interaction. They find
Yes.
that feeling of accomplished job. But if something else is going to do it for you, where that feeling is going to come from?
And that's so important. That's why
Yes.
this touches back on Ikigai. It's the flow state where it doesn't matter how much money you make or how little you make, how much you just love what you do, and
Yep.
you're doing it because it fulfills you. It makes you feel good.
Yep.
And that's
And that doesn't really take money.
It doesn't take money at all.
No, that's just an accomplishment task.
Yes, but capitalistic America kind
Yes,
of rips
they
that
do.
out of the fucking
Yep.
picture, and they're like, if you want a mortgage, if you want to pay a car payment, like you have to do this. And so everyone's just fucking zombies doing
Yeah.
something they don't want to do, and no one's living to their full
They are
potential.
not. They are
no.
not. They are not. If everybody lived to full potential, we will not need government.
Oh my God! And they don't want us to think we don't need government.
No. I mean, we have to also understand that people that understand the value of themselves will never value government.
They'll never value anything other than themselves.
Yeah, and not just yourself, the people around you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a very big community. We can go back again to tribal days. They didn't have government. They had their small form of local punishment and local government. When people murder was unheard of. It is very rare when somebody in a tribe got murdered.
Yeah.
They had their way of doing it, and nobody can tell me they're doing it wrong.
And yet in America, we have a school shooting every week on average.
We lead the entire world in school shootings.
In gun violence in general.
I think personally here it is the people here needed to have an outlet on anger,
totally.
a lot of issues, but. In Africa, we grew up that if you're pissed off, you can walk onto that 19,000 acre fucking farm, take a gun and go shoot at some corn.
Yeah, let it out.
Let it out. Let it out. And we hunted a lot.
Yeah.
We ate what we shot. My dad taught me right. If you shoot a bird, you better make jerky out of it. You do not shoot anything, and you're not.
It's that Native American philosophy where you use everything you kill. If you kill an animal, use the bones, use the skin.
And I think it's tribal philosophy worldwide.
And I think that's like what everyone needs to get back to.
Yes. We're supposed to take care of nature and take only what we need.
And
we're not doing that. We're taking for financial gain now.
It's all about gain. It's all about how can it benefit us? How can it be more comfortable? And like we will go back.
Comfort kills it all.
Comfort kills it all.
Comfort kills it all.
But so something you touched on, which is really important, is community. It doesn't matter. A community is so important in recovery, at your job, in life. That's why religion, I think, is so prosperous, is because it offers people a free community.
Yeah.
You just show up, community.
Yep.
But so it's hard to come to America, probably for you, right? And to find a community.
You don't. You don't. It takes very long, and it was really hard to find. I mean, people will find you interesting. They'll find you have a nice accent, and they want to talk. It is. When I came here first, I mean, then I still had nice blonde, long, flowing hair.
You had long, blonde, flowing hair?
Yeah, I have a picture of it somewhere.
No way, I need to see that picture after. Okay,
I had
go
bangs
on.
that hang down to my cheeks.
Okay.
And it was, you're interesting. You're sitting at a bar and all you have to do is order a beer. Girls approach you. You were never supposed. You don't need a pickup line. Just order a beer.
You just be you.
Yeah. Well, you have a nice accent. Where are you from?
Yeah.
And that breaks the ice, and there's the conversation going.
Right.
You don't have to go over and make conversation.
When you came to America,
but they never become your friends. Nobody will become your friends. They always keep you at arm's length. I know this guy. This South African guy I know.
They objectify you.
Yeah, you'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude. They like your accent, but it's all this thing in their head.
Yeah, there is that. It was huge. It was very flattering in the beginning because hell, you're getting all this attention.
Oh my God, especially as a man, like.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell.
It really strokes the ego.
Oh my God.
But then years later, and you're married, and you go sit in a bar and order a beer, and a woman hits on you, and your wife wants to hit you now. Now it's a different story. Honey, I did nothing.
Go away.
I ordered a
I literally
beer.
was just sitting here.
And I'm trying not to be an asshole. I answer. And I'm a talkative person, and I do like to answer questions. I love to teach and inform.
Yeah.
And it is hard for me to shut up, And and she's like, "Well, why didn't you just shut up?" I'm like, "Honey, it's impossible. I cannot. You know me as I don't. My mom taught me you do not even shut up for the Pope, and you shouldn't. I mean,
God bless the Pope. He's in the hospital right now.
Hey, we have the same God, man.
I mean, we're all we
so
have something you're touching on right now I want to talk about because it's really relevant to my life is this this insecurity is what we're addressing. Is when you're in a relationship specifically, and I'm going to use your example as an example. So you're sitting at a restaurant with your partner and you're just being you, and the server is they like you. And your partner realizes that, so the sense of insecurity comes up in them.
They will see shit that you won't see. I don't even know she was hitting on me.
And you weren't hitting on them.
No.
And maybe she wasn't hitting on you.
Even if I didn't see it, but she did.
Right.
I mean, there's always this woman-to-woman rivalry that goes there.
But that's what I want to touch on. What is that? Not the rivalry. Is that insecurity, and that distrust, that fear? Is it fear?
I don't know.
Because was your partner afraid that you'd want to leave to go be with that person, or like?
Well, it was funny because both of them had an issue with that, and I have 2 ex-wives.
Me too.
They were the ones that left, So they were afraid that I might, but no, they. Actually, my last marriage, after a couple of months and all the pissed off is out of you and all of that, me and her sat down and we're on really good terms. She's a phenomenal woman. I spent many years of my life with her. I will never change her for anything. I made no mistakes. It was perfect, and I made a giant difference in her life, and she made a giant difference in mine. Wonderful times together. We'll never, ever call her names. I still stand up for her when other people talk about her.
That's so beautiful.
But she was kind enough to tell me in not as many words, but in as many words, but that her dreams changed and she didn't want mine to change. So it was better for her to step on and go live her life, because when we got together, we had the same outlook on life, but her career took off in the U.S. and she ended up with a company in Holland and wanted me to, had to move to Holland. And there came a point where she was like, well, you always wanted to have your little place in a tropical island. I knew if I told you I'm going, you would come with, and you would have made the best out of it. Hell, you speak Dutch,
right?
And you have a Dutch last name. It'll be great, and but it wouldn't be what you wanted. You would have done it because of me, and that would not have felt right.
This is true love.
That was hard.
Talking about.
That was hard. That was hard for me.
I can only imagine how hard that was.
I was like,
when you
at least
grow
give me a
together,
shot,
sometimes you grow apart.
And that is kind of what happened. And,
yeah.
I mean, like I say, she's a wonderful woman.
And you still love her.
Oh yeah,
it's part of your heart.
Love is something that doesn't go away.
Never.
And it might be out of sight and out of mind, but it will not go away.
Ever.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And some people in America, we use love for one word. I love ketchup. I love my dog. I love you. I love my wife.
I think we use it so much that it becomes a non-powerful word.
Fast and loose.
Yeah. It's fast and it's loose.
It's like a cigarette.
If you say, and actually, I had that conversation with, because she would be off the phone with the friend she's had for 2 weeks and be like, well, I love you, bye. I'm like, well, that word should be is more reserved to, well, it was used so loosely. And but yeah,
I think we
she
do
went
the
her
same.
way and I ended up go mine. And it does. And if I didn't, I would not be sitting here. So it's
Right. I know.
the butterfly effect.
I know how painful that can be. Like when you love someone, but you start growing apart, like that's things you can't project that. You can't predict that. When you get in a relationship, you don't know how you're both going to grow. And
But you watch it happen.
yeah,
That's the sad part. You watch it happen, and you know
Yeah.
it happened, and you don't know how to change it or fix it or do anything about it.
but
That
it
was
sounds
hard.
that what you're talking about is true love, man, because
It
you
was.
guys
It-
still
it-
respect
it
each
is.
other.
Yes,
You watch
yes,
you guys,
yes.
and you made that decision, being like, "Don't come with me," because I know you're only doing it for me.
Yeah, and I needed to be a part of her life, in her life. I
Yeah.
think that was predestined for us. Her brother met his wife in South Africa. She was my best friend, and he is obviously my ex-wife's brother.
Right. Yeah.
They met in South Africa.
Okay.
She was bisexual when they met.
Okay.
Now they're married with a child and is the only grandchild in the family.
Oh, really?
So I did serve a purpose there.
Hey.
I brought the apple of the eye into the family there too.
That's where you found your purpose.
Yeah, if
You were
it-
the link. That wouldn't have
that-
happened
if
without
it
you.
wa- yeah, that would not have happened.
Yeah.
And I think when I get back here after coming back from South Africa, I actually sat down one night and I did my night prayer and I was like, God, I've done everything that I think that you put me there for the purpose to do, but I'm 46 years old. Can you throw me a bone here in the end, please, man?
Please?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I have something that I can grow old with or nibble on
Yeah.
until my last days?
Yeah.
But I do not think that was my purpose. And when me and my ex had a few drinks after the breakup and everything, I asked her, so what really destroyed, or what was the final thing? And she said, and I don't think it was a bad thing, my sense of adventure killed it. But I am not a person that goes to a place and sits in my hotel room. I'm in a car, I'm walking into the mountains, the worst neighborhoods ever. I can name all the worst neighborhoods in every place I've lived and visited, because that's the first place I go.
That's because that's who you are.
Yes. And the people that I related with most of the time doesn't live in the greatest neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That-
I mean, I'm not in the greatest neighborhood.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm in Frogtown, so yeah, well,
yeah.
shit, it's not a...
Don't judge people based on where they're
No,
living.
it's not heaven, but it's
So
my house.
she told you that was the big
Yeah,
thing.
the sense of adventure. And a month before we broke up, we went to Isla Mujeres in Mexico, and we had a wonderful night. We went shot for shot. It's Mexico, Isla Mujeres. Tequila all the way through the island. And by the time we got to the Airbnb, I pretty much carried her in the door and put her to bed and lay down for a little bit. And I was like, well, I can't sleep quite yet. I was like, I need to take a nap. I'm
keep
hungry.
going, yeah.
I'm hungry.
Right.
I need to go get something to eat. I walked out. I didn't walk back in the room till 4 o'clock in the morning when she got up.
It's that.
And when she woke up and I came in the room, she looked me right in the eye and I could see it in her eyes.
She
There's a
was
time
not-
she was like,
she wanted you to stay.
well, she said, I can't keep up.
yeah.
And my response to her right away without skipping a beat was, honey, I never asked you to keep up. I just asked you to have fun with me.
It was her expectation.
She thought I expected of her to keep up.
Right.
That was an expectation she
That
thought
was
I expected.
hers, not yours.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was, honey, I never, and I mean, I'm South African. South Africans grow up drinking. We will outdrink the Irish.
Americans do too.
We will outdrink the world. I have.
Oh, are we
in
going shot
Ireland.
for shot now?
Led took me on the other day, and he bought a case of beer and put 10 in the fridge for tomorrow.
Do you think so these fundamental differences, they say opposites attract in relationships, right?
Yes.
Two different people. I'm more like your ex. I like to stay home. You're more go out. But like my best friends are like you. And so we attract. So all the best friends in my life want like you. They're adventurous, want to live, and they're at 4 a.m. like, I need to go get food. And I'm like, no, I want to sit on the couch and play video games.
Yep.
But do you think it is a good thing in opposite dynamics in relationships, or do you think you need to be with someone who matches your level?
I think to a point, and I mean that understanding really doesn't have to be there. The understanding that don't keep up. Don't. I mean, and especially if you get married over cultural borders.
Right.
Cultures is
That adds a whole nother.
it adds a completely different level to the relationship. And I mean, when they see us at a bar, I mean, South Africans grow up drinking. Alcohol has never been estranged growing up. The liquor cabinet is never locked. If you want to walk over there and take a sip, take a sip. You're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be delicious.
Yeah.
And there came a time where my dad's like, since I was 5 years old, I can pour the perfect double whiskey on ice.
Yeah.
And my dad,
5.
yeah,
You just said 5
yes,
years old.
Yes, and my dad did not do a double out of the bottle caps. We didn't have shot.
Oh
glass.
no, we eyeball it.
No, it was fingers.
That's
2
bartender
fingers.
shit. Yeah,
like
2 fingers,
this.
3 fingers. Yeah.
But before the glass is filled with ice.
Wow.
So you pour this, and you
Yeah.
fill it with ice. There's no place for anything.
I don't
else
use
in that
fingers. I
glass.
just pour.
Yeah, and there come a time that now too. I'm
Yeah.
like, when I was just there, my dad asked me to pour him a whiskey.
Yeah.
And I walked to the bottle,
So-
and like I was 5 years old, did it without even thinking, like
That's
tipping the clutch on
wild.
a
Yeah.
stick shift.
Yeah, it's natural.
Poured it, added the ice. There's this much left. Put a splash of water because my dad is 69 now. Put a splash of water just for his benefit.
Just a little, a little hydration.
Dad,
in
you
there,
and I
yeah.
know the difference. We've been at the bar since the morning, but there you go.
Yeah. And you just
Let's
went
get
back
something
to
interesting.
you went back to your hometown to see your father because your mother passed away.
Yeah, well, I was in America. She did pass away, yes, and financially, it hit pretty hard, and I could not afford to go for the funeral itself when she died, and it was hospital fluke. She came out of surgery fine. She had heart surgery. She came out fine, and they had internal bleeding, and they didn't catch it, and she ended up being brain dead, and we had a family call. They called me on Facebook or the FaceTime, and we had a family call with the doctor. And what are we doing with the machines? Are we going to turn off, or are we going to wait? Yeah. But even if she did come back, she would not have been the person we knew. She would have been in a wheelchair and not able to speak or no function at all. So the hard decision to make was, all right, let's do that. Let's say what the doctor does. They turn the machines off, and she was cremated. And then now they saved the ashes. And since then, my uncle also passed. Her brother, the last living relative on that side, passed away as well. And we got to actually go put their ashes on the old farm in inland South Africa, my grow-up farm. And we are putting a mausoleum up there for them, where we're going to put the ashes in. So that was later raised the both. The old wooden boxes. Yeah. It was really hard for me to understand that I can fit all that character and all that big person that woman was into such a little fucking wooden box. That was the part when I walked in my dad's room.
It really hit you?
It was sitting on this he had this little shrine almost made for my mom, and the box is there with her picture and with the family picture and everything. And I walked in and I saw that, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. That was like,
you never know when it's
crap.
going to hit you.
Yeah, and I was here. I didn't walk into the house when she wasn't there. Yeah. Where my family there had to deal with it. For me, mom just went home. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then when I went back, then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought, okay, hell, I'm going to South Africa. I'm going to pick up 10 pounds. Mom's cooking.
Right. Yeah. And then, boom.
Yeah, then I remembered my sister cannot fry an egg. So I was like, no, you're not picking up weight. You're going to pick up weight. But if you want to, you drink beer and eat steak off the grill. That's the only way you're going to do that. And
we're coping like we cope.
Yep,
okay.
You're cooking it.
That's how Garrett's, my family, Anna, that's how we do it too.
Yeah. If you want it, you cook it and you eat.
I'm really sorry that it really hit me when you said I couldn't afford to go home to bury my mom.
Yes,
I wanted to cry when I heard that because that's so fucked up. And you came to America chasing the American dream, and so now you're in this position years later where your mother passes away and you can't even financially afford to go.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's again, we build so many obligations for ourselves where we are that we cannot just walk away from those obligations a lot of times. And a lot of times it's also just in your head. It's not quite an obligation.
I think it's always in your head.
My dad had a wonderful saying, you have to shit, eat, and breathe. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 necessities in life. Those are 3. The race is a choice.
Yeah.
And I chose at 19 to leave my country and go to a place where my family is in a different continent. One of the hardest things to do is to realize that there is no door to knock on. There is no Thanksgiving with family. Yeah. There's no birthdays anymore. Yeah. There is not hey, I'm going to run to my sister's place because it's Christmas. No, it's not there. Yeah. They're going to celebrate that without you. Mm-hmm. You might have a FaceTime call for a couple of minutes, but You miss out on so many part of your family life. If you move to a different country and your family stays behind, you're leaving your family behind. I have a guy there, he's a 19-year-old kid that wants to come to America so badly and come to work here. But he's fresh out of high school. And the first thing I told him is look around you and your family. You're going to lose all these people. And not lose like you think lose, but you're not going to see your father grow old. You're not going to be here when he has to go do his first Alzheimer's exam. You know, that support that you can give will not be here.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do from over there is probably financial support. With the exchange rate, it will definitely help.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point that, I mean, you do want more than just like, hey, Dad, you need to get this done. Here's $200 times 18. Yeah, you can afford doing it there.
Right.
But it is not.
It's not worth it.
No, it's a very expensive price to pay.
Yeah.
And you have to weigh that price. You have to weigh that definitely. You lose your family if you move to a different country for long term and marry and stay.
I want to give you some perspective from, because I've experienced the same thing. You can still experience that, losing your family and not move, because now my home's gone. You know, I don't have my mother, don't have my father. And I sometimes, like when I'm feeling bad, I drive past my own home and you look back and you're like, that's where it was. And I think this is something that tribes do better, because if you're in a tribe, you can always go back. In America, in civilization and capitalism, you could lose that. And that's, I think, the feeling you're talking about is you lost like your rock, your home.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And then, but and it is also in a lot of places a necessity for, I would say, a man to lose that, because it will make you in the end of the day a stronger, more independent person.
Yeah.
But you have to weigh the prices you pay for those things.
Yeah.
The price, a lot of times, for a lot of people, what you get in the end is not worth what I paid.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be sold.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people talking, well, I want to move to this and I want to go do that. But they do not completely understand the emotional and family repercussions that
The
moving to a
deeper
different country.
issues.
Yes.
Humans don't even understand. We're still all figuring it out.
And it, I mean, I know people that got physically sick from homesick.
Like literally, it can cause trauma. You can
Yes,
get depressed.
yes,
It can
yes.
cause mental illnesses.
Yes, it does.
It can
It
cause
does.
addictions.
Yes,
It can, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you need, you always chase the family bond. You always chase
You're
that.
home.
Yes, and it was very weird when I was here and I was going to South Africa. People are like, "Oh, so where are you going on your trip?" I'm going home.
Ah.
But when I was there and people asked me where I'm going when I
Yeah.
left, I said, I'm going home.
Right. That must have been weird.
But my home is supposed to be
Wait,
there.
I have two homes.
Yeah,
And
but
so-
I own my home.
So did your brain you're like, wait.
It was.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, I have two homes.
I noted myself when I said that and I was like, oh shit, when I was there, I just said I'm going home, coming to South
when I
Africa.
went there, it's
and
the
now
same
I'm,
thing.
Yes, now I'm
Yeah,
going home, going
yeah.
back to America.
Wow.
It's been
Dude, that boils back to like the power of community and friendship, and like that is home. And like I think that's something Americans in general have lost.
yeah, the world should be our home.
Amen.
Everywhere in the world you go, this was I mean, we should be the caretakers of this planet. And nowhere should it really be nobody should ask you for paperwork to go to a different country. and
God damn it,
experience
just to
different life.
walk across a field?
Yeah, a
You need
visa,
papers?
a visa and passports, and these are people's way to control population flow around the world. That's all it is.
Capitalism.
Yes, and they're making a lot of money off of it.
That's all it is money.
And I shouldn't have to if I want to go to Mexico, I shouldn't have to pay to go see my God-given right as the world.
Or you have to go through. Shouldn't have to take a test.
No,
you know, like what the fuck.
It was really hard to become a U.S. citizen, and a lot of people that live and grew up in the U.S. doesn't know how hard it is to become an American citizen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is a lot of study,
Months
paperwork.
and months studying tests.
It is ridiculous
The questions
to
you
how
had to
hard it
answer,
is.
I don't know the answers to.
Yeah, and it is in the time the mayor of St. Paul spoke with my inauguration here. We had a hall full of people, and he said that if anybody that's an American citizen today that was born and raised here ever look down on you being an immigrant, know this one thing, that from every single agency in our country, the best of our agencies in our country checked into you and your background before you could become a citizen. You are vetted to be here.
Yeah.
People born here were not vetted.
Yeah. Oh no, well, we
Yeah.
could do whatever we
They
fucking
were
want.
just here
We could be
because
murderers,
they were born here.
rapists. Yeah.
But the ones that was coming in were vetted by the
Yeah.
FBI, CIA. Your background
Right.
check was checked. If you had a criminal record, you cannot come here.
Right.
If you had AIDS, you cannot come here.
What?
Yes, I was AIDS tested before I came to the U.S. on my first visa. And if I
Excuse
tested
me, this is
positive,
the first time
I
I've
would
ever
not
heard
be
about
able to have
that.
come.
You have to get AIDS
I
tested.
was AIDS tested my first time, 19 years old, coming to the U.S. The requirement was an AIDS test.
That is so fucked.
It was an AIDS test was a requirement, but AIDS also kill right now 70% of.
I'm
of
sorry,
African
but they're
population.
literally like, no, that's not okay.
It-
How have I never
it was
heard
a
of this?
requirement. And then when you get here, before you get your citizenship here, you go to a government-appointed doctor, and it gives you 2 envelopes. One you open and one you don't. The one you don't open, you have to mail just like that, but they give it to you to mail. You have to mail it to immigration. They have a file on you that you don't get to open. They say here's another one for you that's a copy, but you're
That's
butt
different.
naked and they checking everything, man. You're bending and coughing. They're checking everything, and they're checking your medical records from South Africa or where you were from, and they're asking you, all the uncomfortable questions.
What the fuck? Dude?
And if you were tested positive in South Africa, HIV, they would not grant me a visa to come study at the U of M here when I was 19 years old. Or not 19, when I was 20 years old, because I came back after England and Israel. I went back.
That is discrimination on a whole nother level that
Yeah, but it
I've
doesn't happen
never
to
even heard
Americans. It
of.
happens to foreigners coming to here. They have no law
because
here.
we're blaming where you come from for an issue here.
Well, immigrant workers here didn't have, at the time, too much leg to stand on. They were exploited in pay.
Yeah.
I mean, we worked minimum wage.
Yeah.
Even here, working in the I was studying greenhouse operations at the U of M, working at Linda's greenhouses, making $5.40 an hour.
Fucking A. Oh my God.
And I lived in didn't have an apartment my first month here. It was January. I stayed in a Polish dude's Volkswagen, slept in the back seat, and drove from parking lot to parking lot. So if you can't turn the car off, it's freaking January in Minnesota.
Jesus Christ.
And finally made enough so me and 5 friends could get a 1-bedroom apartment and moved from there. Ended up in there. And
Hey, congratulations. You you're living the American dream. I know it's not what you thought it is.
No.
But you're doing
I
it.
mean, see, the thing is, like, dreams will always stay dreams if there's no action involved.
I love that. I
You have
love
to
that
put action
quote.
behind your
When you
dreams,
said
man.
that, it's still in my brain.
Yeah, you need to put action behind your dreams. Otherwise, they're only going to just stay dreams.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve that, you cannot just pray for it. You got to put elbow to grease and.
The
hands-
quote that comes
hands
to
sweat.
mind is hard work beats talent every time. It
Hard
doesn't
work.
matter how much talent
And with
you
enough
have.
and with enough hard work, you can gain talent.
Exactly. So hard work beats talent.
Yeah, it can. It's also at a point that right now I think hard work beats college education.
Amen. Oh my
I
God.
think we're right there now.
Dude,
I mean,
totally.
The trade schools has taken more and more people in. We really need people in trades, and this was the first time that one of the charities that I give money to is scholarships. One of our Masonic charities is a scholarship, and this was last year was the first year that most of our scholarship went to trade schools.
Really?
The people that wanted, the guys that came and asked for scholarships from the Freemasons went to trade schools.
And trade. Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah, that's a great conversation too.
Yeah.
If anybody has ever been to Israel, where Jesus grew up, there is not too many trees. It's a desert place. So if you're a carpenter, you're not poor. You're working with one of the very few of what's a commodity in the country at the time. So if you were a carpenter, you were highly revered. You were not just
Because
a
it
guy that
was
swung a hammer.
so skilled.
Oh, wow.
It was highly sought
Wood
after.
was scarce.
Rare.
Wood is scarce in the desert.
So if you know how to work with wood, it's like, where'd you even find
You
wood?
can't waste it.
Yeah.
So they were highly revered. If people have wood to make anything made out of wood, then it was paid. I mean, we see the major in like the Christmas story, and it's this beautiful little wooden stall that was built.
Right.
That is not how stalls look like. There.
Not-
It was a hollowed out cave.
Yeah.
And they carved the crib that Jesus laid in out of a stone. It was not a wooden one they made because
Right.
wood was not that
It
readily
wasn't
available.
pretty.
No,
Didn't rock.
No, it was not. It was not. So it is a. He was. Jesus didn't grow up poor. Let's put it like that. He has brothers and sisters, and if you read the Apocrypha books, you find out that the Apocrypha books was the books kept out of the Bible.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
And he was born with a full head of hair, could speak since birth.
And he probably wasn't white.
No, and he was a little a-hole actually when he was in school. He was a vindictive son. Yeah. He knocked one of his friends off of the roof of the house.
Really?
A friend broke his leg. when he fell off, Jesus knew he was going to get in trouble, ran down, fixed the boy's leg before his mom showed up and he could rat him out.
This is the first time I've heard anyone ever say like something Jesus did wrong.
But as a kid. What happened to him in school?
Right.
I mean, all of a sudden he was born.
So
in the
he was
Bible,
human, of
and
course.
the next time he's crucified.
just
What
never
happened
thought
in
of it.
23 years? What
Of
did he
course
do in high
Jesus
school?
was a dick sometimes, or like did fucked up shit.
He grew up as any other kid would have.
But they don't talk about that. Why
No,
not? Why
that's-
don't they talk about that? We should, right?
You read the Apocrypha, and there are books
The
that
Apocrypha.
explains the.
There are, but the books that are taken out.
Yeah, they were back in the day removed from the Cana, the King James version of the Cana.
Okay.
To simplify, and not only to simplify, to also, gain people in faith and not just
like
strain
reinforce
people
the
in
good
faith.
things, but ignore the bad.
Yes. And nobody wanted to know Jesus to have done like any other boy. Sometimes he's the one part in the Bible that he did do. One of his teachers said, "You're not the Son of God," and he struck him with blindness. And that teacher could not speak or see. A couple of months later, Jesus came to him in school and said, "Okay, you can take that back." He nodded his head, and he could speak and he could see again.
Wow.
That's a teacher, and that's in the Bible. That's not apocrypha
okay.
even. That's
Yeah.
in our local canon. But
You know a lot about this topic.
yes, that does. If you want to believe in something, you gotta at least do the research, and even if you don't believe in something, do the research so you at least know what you don't believe in.
Right.
You know, I have a hard time speaking to somebody that's like, well, I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this. It's like, what part of the Bible don't you not believe in? Help me understand.
Yeah.
Well, I refuse to read it. I will never read it. I'm like, well, this conversation is over.
Ignorance.
Yeah, I'm like, well, all right, man. So you cannot really even put a finger on it.
You're not even curious.
It's like the guy that sees an olive and like, no, I hate olives, but never tried one.
Yeah.
Right.
You will never know. How do you know?
Yeah, how do you
just
know?
don't- yeah.
Exactly the point. So
What we have in common then, what you're touching on, I think is almost a divide between people. It's the curious and the complacent.
Yes.
The people who just take everything as it is and believe, well, no, it says this or that. And the people who are like, why?
and the curious will always
always
win, and the complacent will always try to prosecute the curious.
And the complacent will always kill the
They will
curious,
always do it.
and it'll
Always
start
will try to
wars.
do it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
even man, this has been a great conversation. We went over, but I was happy to go over. I could talk to you for 4 hours. We could have a fucking 12-hour podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
But just to wrap it up, thank you so much again for coming on and sharing your story. I think there's so much good knowledge you just passed on that I really hope people at home can take to heart and maybe help inspire them, and like maybe a future immigrant who's curious about coming to America will be inspired by you, or someone who hates immigrants, maybe they love you and they're questioning their sexuality. but I just want to wrap it up with one question. Would you kick a puppy as hard as you possibly could, knowing full well you'll probably kill that puppy, to save 100 strangers' lives?
I would.
You would?
100 strangers?
100 strangers.
I would.
You would end a life to
Of an
save-
innocent animal to save 100 people's lives.
If you do nothing, you're not killing those people. They're going to die regardless, but you would inflict harm on another being.
The problem is not about what you do sometimes, it's about what you don't do sometimes.
Complacency.
Complacency is, a lot of bad things happen in the world out of complacency.
Would it change your answer if it was 100 friends, people you knew personally?
It still would.
Still
No, it still
kick it.
would.
Would it change if it was a kitten? Would you kick a kitten?
I love animals. It's a love thing. But
So it's
I
not
grew up on
about-
a farm. For me, a farm there was always a sacrificial animal to make sure everybody lived. That we did from growing up. We had to. If you want to eat, you kill.
Yeah.
And that was.
And that's a disconnect we have in America. Like, it really hit me when my kid, I was like, you want some ham? He's like, yeah, I want some ham. It's like, oh, here's the pig. He's like, a pig? I was like, that's a pig.
Yeah, where the ham comes from.
In America, we just go to the grocery store. You don't know. We have this disconnect. So as a farmer,
That's a lesson you grow up with, not something you were taught.
Yeah.
That's definitely a lesson to grow up with. And if and in the end of the day, to save 100 human lives, even people I don't know, to sacrifice one animal, yes, that'll be. And no matter how much I love that
there's no
animal,
wrong answer. Ethics, yeah.
And it's, even an animal that you love, it could be your home pet. It's a terrible, hard decision to make, and hopefully nobody ever have to.
Right.
But it is one of those philosophical questions that, what if?
Yeah. What ifs.
There's the one is like, would you have killed Hitler as a baby?
Yeah. What if it was 100 Hitlers? Would you still kick the puppy?
Yeah.
To save 100 Hitlers.
Yeah.
Right.
And what would you, if he was a baby, would you kill a baby was the question. And they said, no, I will never. But what if that baby was Hitler and you know the atrocities he's going to do in life? Would you kill him as a baby?
Still no. For
Still
me,
no.
the answer is still no.
The answer is still no, because you never really know what route anybody's life is going to take.
Right.
And you cannot...
The only thing you can control is your actions.
Yes.
And do you want to hurt someone?
We don't have the brain capacity to understand the butterfly effect of
Not
actions.
yet. We're
No.
getting there.
I think we'll get there.
We'll get there.
After we pass.
We're not fully human yet. We're
don't think
on
so.
the way.
Yeah, I don't think we are.
All right, just to wrap it up, look straight in the camera. One piece of advice for everyone out there. Best, if you're talking to your younger self, the kids, someone you love, the most important lesson in life. Tell the people at home, look in the camera. What's your biggest piece of advice?
Biggest piece of advice. Work hard, be kind, work towards happiness, not financial gain. Travel, do things, enjoy life. Life is not a race for money. Life is a race for experiences. If there is $5 in your pocket and you want to go somewhere and use those $5, go do it. Sit in a restaurant, drink the wine, eat the expensive food. Even if you're going to walk out there poor, you will be a richer person. You just don't know it yet.
Fucking beautiful.
That would be
mine.
the biggest.
Yeah, you stole mine.
That'll be the biggest.
Okay, can I get you a picture to put you on the wall,
Yeah, why
Legends
not?
here? All right, pose pretty. You can have your drink. Thank you so much, Eben. All right, smile. Thank you so much.
You got it, bro.
That was great.